Ryan, you know what's cool in summer?
What's that?
New plants.
Judy, you know what's hot this summer? A new episode of Garden Time. Welcome to Garden Time, and it is a hot summer, but there's nothing better than picking up a cool new plant.
We're at Blooming Junction in Cornelius, and they are well stocked with cool new plants for your summer garden.
Coming up in the show today, we'll show you what to do with all those tomatoes out of your garden.
We'll also be visiting a cut flower garden.
But coming up first, we'll show you some cool and some unusual houseplants.
Garden Time has been out and about in Bend, and we found this amazing plant shop. It's Somewhere That's Green, and I'm with John, the owner. And John, this is just an amazing, it's like Disneyland for me. Thank you.
Thank you.
And you know, we always want to give some education to our viewers, and for houseplants, it's really been a big trend the last couple of years, and so some people are still dabbling. So maybe we can talk about some things that are really easy, bulletproof for people that are starting out.
Absolutely. We call it Plant Parenthood 101. So some of the big first recommendations we always like to give are mother-in-law's tailing or snake plants, but these two in front of you right now are really good options. The ZZ plant is a really easy one. She grows from a bulb or a corm that is a nice water storage device, so you can let the plant go fully dry before rewatering. So that's one if you aren't good at plant parenthood just yet and you might forget about it in a corner. That's an easy one to do and use. She also can handle very low light conditions as long as there's a window in the room, all the way to pretty bright conditions as well.
Nice.
So she's an easy, flexible one, really great if you're still understanding the layout of your house.
Oh, it's so pretty, and the leaves are so shiny. I love it.
Yes, yeah. The new leaves come off that lime green and then they harden off to a nice darker green. There's also variants that, like the Raven ZZ, that turns black, which is really cool.
That's a cool one.
Yeah.
And then this one's kind of totally different shape.
Yes, this one has been around for many decades. A lot of people recognize this one. The golden pothos. Pothos are really hardy as well. Fun because they trail and they also climb. So you can do them on curtain rods or in your kitchen hanging above the sink or bathroom shelving. It's much more flexible as to where it can be placed, and then it really can grow large, very large, covering ceilings and windows and stuff. They can handle lower light conditions as well, but prefer a bright indirect light. And then they go about half dry before rewatering, so about once a week.
So just watch it.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
And so then we have people that are into the collector's realm, and they want to be challenged. They want the coolest new thing that's on all of Instagram, so you can help with that too.
Of course, absolutely. So I always say once people get to about 40 plants in their house collection, then they're like, okay, it's time. They feel like they understand light, water, and plants, so then they start moving on to these babies. This one's a really sought after plant in the last couple years. It's called a pink princess philodendron. It is a variegated or mutated type of rojo philodendron that has this beautiful pink variegation, and they reproduce it through tissue culture because you can't get that variegation otherwise. So they're harder to reproduce, slower to reproduce, which makes them more rare to find. They still grow really easily, bright indirect light, semi-moist, and they're just gorgeous. You can kind of see that one right here with that beautiful pink.
Wow.
If you cut a leaf off, it also has like very red flesh and juice, so it almost looks like blood.
Oh.
Really, really pretty and very royal, which is really cool, hence the name Pink Princess.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And then this one is a string of turtles, one that's really been popular the last couple years, but just hit the market finally the last couple months into circulation. It's a part of the Peperomia, prostrata. A lot of people know Peperomia family. A lot of people know the Chinese money plant, which is like the Pilea peperomoides. Very similar cousins to that. These ones like about half dry and then bright indirect light. A little bit of sun in the morning won't hurt them, but they can get cooked pretty easily and they can get overwatered pretty easily. So it's that nice finding the perfect balance of light versus water for these ones to really thrive. And once they get going, they just trail.
Oh, they're beautiful.
Known for those beautiful white, almost semi-succulent leaves that look like a turtle shell.
Nice, nice, so cute.
Yeah.
And really, your staff here is so knowledgeable. So really, if you're not around, you have so many people that can help and pick out the right plant for that right space and that right person.
Absolutely. Bring in photos. That's what we always recommend. We can help you select the right thing.
Nice. Well, we have just loved being here, and so please go to our website, gardentime.com.tv, and then we'll click you over to John's. And really, if you're in Bend, stop by and get some plants. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Welcome to Blooming Junction, where it's easy to connect with nature. At Blooming Junction, you'll find beautiful, healthy plants, good fresh food, and a place to regain peace and calm in your life. We have an unsurpassed collection of unique and distinctive plants and the expertise to help any gardener be successful. And we feature blooming advantage plants. Come check out Blooming Junction for an inspiring experience in the garden or in the kitchen. Blooming Junction, offering quality plants for beautiful gardens.
Judy, what are you doing?
You said to follow you.
Follow us on Facebook.
Oh, man. Well, we invite all of our viewers to follow the Garden Time page on Facebook.
And on our Facebook page, you'll find links to stories, you'll see upcoming events, and you also might even find a funny joke or two.
So don't forget, go to the gardentime.tv webpage and click the link for Facebook. I am at a new place for Garden Time. I am at Pollinate Flowers, actually at their farm with John, the owner. And so John, tell us about Pollinate Flowers.
Sure. So we are a regenerative cut flower farm located in the Dundee Hills, just south of Portland. And we grow cut flowers, perennial, annual. We grow a lot of medicinal herbs and berry shrubs, and have kind of a regenerative ecosystem that helps us farm in a more harmonizing way with nature.
That is a really interesting idea because you really want to have them as clean as possible. You don't really want to use any kind of chemicals, organic or synthetic.
Correct. And in the cut flower world, there is a lot of chemical use, especially because they aren't regulated as a food crop. So there's very toxic chemicals that can be sprayed on cut flowers. And so we're trying to create a model where the flowers are really clean and safe to be used both by the florists and to stick your face in and smell them, put in your bathtub, whatever. And then it also is really good for obviously the insect life, from bacteria all the way up to like the birds and the snakes and the frogs. So.
And you know, I think as gardeners we forget about that. We forget about below ground.
Yeah.
And you really have a system that you've kind of developed. So tell us a little bit about that mounding.
Yeah, totally. So we are really into farming the soil, and because the plant gets everything that it needs from the soil. And so we're thinking of the soil first. And so we think of the soil as its own ecosystem, where there is a whole bunch of stuff going on 12 months out of the year. And so we're trying not to disturb that ecosystem, and we're trying to actually farm it and regenerate the soil, because this was originally just grass. Originally, in the last 30 years or so, it's been grass. And so we're trying to increase the soil life, because the soil life actually breaks down all of the minerals and nutrients into forms that the plants can then take up and use. So we do compost mounded beds, where we just mound compost on top of last year's mound and then plant right into that. We do some amending with basic lime and kelp and things like that. And the idea is not to disturb the soil life, to just keep mounding on top and then planting the plants into that.
Wow. And so we just came out of a horrible heat wave. And
Yeah.
so how did all your plants survive?
Yeah, so actually the plants did pretty well through the heat wave, because of how much water compost holds. So that's another reason why the compost is really great for us. It's not just about building the soil life, but also about holding moisture. And so we actually only had to water like every 4 days or so out here, even when it was over 100 degrees. We do drip irrigation. And so that water is just going right down deep into the ground, and then the compost is holding that moisture, which allows the plants to survive through those hot afternoons.
Wow, you know, so many good tips for us as gardeners. I mean, for anything, when you have just a regular garden just to
Yes.
enjoy. So that's really, thank you so much for that.
Yeah, for sure.
And then we need to go back to like cutting flowers, because I
Yeah.
think it's always good to give us tips about how to do that, because we want to bring those flowers in and enjoy them in our homes too.
Yes, absolutely. So, talking about heat, one of the things to think about when you're cutting flowers is in the hot afternoons, all plants pull moisture out of their leaves into the roots so they can store it. It's not transpiring as much through their leaves in the hot afternoon. And so you really want to cut the flowers in the morning when they're fully hydrated. Overnight, the plant's pulling that moisture back into the leaves, and then the stems and the flowers are fully hydrated. So we're trying to harvest pretty much everything before noon, especially on the really hot days. And then we also try and harvest things before they are fully open. So once a flower is fully open, it's getting pollinated and then it's slowly dying, turning into seed. And so you have a very short vase life if you're harvesting when they're fully open. So for the most part, we are harvesting the flowers when they're in the bud stage. They're just showing a little bit of color before all the bees and pollinators get in there. We're plucking them off the plant so that we get that longer vase life. So a couple big tips there for you.
Very much. Oh,
Yeah.
very much. So you want to plant 2 and 3 of everything so you still have color in your garden and bring it indoors.
Absolutely, because you're going to be cutting those buds off so you won't see the blooms in the garden. So
Definitely.
yes, plant a couple, one just to let bloom and one to harvest on.
Oh,
Yep.
this has been so eye-opening and such an amazing place, and just the synergy here, it's been exciting. And so
Thank
how
you.
can we learn more about you or come visit?
Absolutely. So we have our website, pollinateflowers.com. If you're in Newburgh, Dundee, Sherwood, or McMinnville, you can order delivery from that website. We also have a shop in downtown Newburgh, a little flower shop, where we do a build your own bouquet bar. We have little market bunches. We have some of the products, essential oils and stuff that we make right here on the farm as well.
Oh, man.
So, and dried flowers. So lots of
Excellent.
good stuff there.
Oh, excellent. So another place to visit and really to kind of have some flowers or get some ideas. So please go to gardentime.tv, we'll click over their website, and you need to go visit Pollinate Flowers. Thanks so much, John.
Thank you.
Garden Time is brought to you by Portland Nursery, a passion for plants, a nursery for plant people.
At Portland Nursery, we believe that gardening is a creative endeavor that enriches our experience, enlivens the spaces around us, and provides a safe haven for the mind. Portland Nursery has everything you need to make your space feel unique, inviting, and exciting. From houseplants and hedges to trees, tools, veggies, and herbs, our selection is always growing and changing, just like you. Come visit us today at 50th and Stark, 90th and Division.
A destination farm and garden market featuring the very best each season has to offer. Smith Berry Barn offers seasonal farm fresh fruits and vegetables and specialty herbs and perennials. Visit the historic barn for distinctive gifts, gourmet foods, and homemade milkshakes. Right now we have fresh picked or pick your own berries ready in our fields. Here's what we have to offer this week. Centrally located off of Shoals Ferry Road between Sherwood and Hillsborough. Smith Berry Barn, growing good taste from the ground up.
Garden Time's Incredible Edibles.
Well, I'm at the home of Christina Edick. Christina, we met with you a couple years ago. You had a new cookbook that came out about zucchini, and now you have a new one that's out. So what's your new cookbook?
New cookbook is From Vine to Table, Everything Tomatoes, the Fruit of Love.
And tomatoes, we're just getting into tomato season now for the gardener, and and a lot of times when they come on, there's an abundance of tomatoes. So you've picked out a recipe today that will kind of show us what we can do with those tomatoes. So what did we pick out today?
Today is going to be a tomato tart. So we'll get started.
Excellent.
Okay.
You tell me what to do, and I'll be your little sous chef today.
Okay, so you need to unwrap the pastry there. That is puffed pastry, and we're going to just line the... And then I'm going to have you do some pricking.
Okay.
So I'm going to have you prick more of the inside, leaving the outside a little... Yeah, there you go. There. Yeah, so we don't want everything to puff, so we have a place for the tomatoes.
We'll let the puff on the outside, but not on the inside.
There you go. Okay. You're doing good so far. Okay, now you want to spread the cheese all along the bottom there. Okay, and next we'll put in some onions.
Okay.
Boy, he's pretty good.
So now that we have our onions down, what do we do next?
Next we'll put the zucchini on there.
Okay. So as I'm sprinkling this, so where did your inspiration come from for doing cookbooks?
For doing cookbooks, well, I'm from Italian descent, and so we always cook. That's just kind of what we do. And I started with the zucchini book because we had a lot of zucchini that year, and tomatoes was a natural one to follow because everyone loves tomatoes, and especially Italians. So
seems to go hand in hand, right?
Hand in hand, right, yeah. And there's plenty of them in the garden. So this is a nice recipe for cherry tomatoes in particular because that's what we do have an abundance of sometimes.
Right.
So yeah, you just add those on the end. There you go.
So then in your cookbook, you have lots of different recipes in there?
There's over 85 recipes of using tomatoes, and some are ketchup, and some are tomato flakes, and tarts, and breads, and pizzas, and soups, salads, side dishes, just an abundance of recipes, all including tomatoes.
Right, because there's so much we can do with them, you know, as appetizers and main courses and various things like that. So.
And this particular recipe you could use as an appetizer, and you could also use it almost like a pizza for a main course, depending on what you like.
Right.
So if you
okay, so we got that ready now.
We're ready to just salt and pepper it and put it in the oven.
You got it.
They look beautiful, don't they? I think that's good.
Okay.
You an over pepper person?
I like my pepper.
I could tell.
And we'll do a little salt on there too.
Sure. Okay, thank you. Now we'll just put this in the oven, and this will cook for about 20 minutes.
Okay.
Okay?
So now that we have it out of the oven, which looks delicious, what are the next steps?
Well, the next steps is we need to finish to dress this, and what we need to do is put feta cheese on. Okay. So I'm going to let you do that.
Sprinkle a little of that on the top. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Get a little of that on there, and then what do we put next?
And next we put some cut up basil.
All right, a little fresh basil.
Mm-hmm.
And then this one looks interesting.
This is green tomato chutney, which recipe is also in the cookbook.
Okay.
And just put a couple dollops around on that.
Okay.
And then we'll cut it and plate it.
Okay.
We'll be ready
so while we're doing that, we'll get that all done. We'll take it up front and kind of see the finished product and go see how this all turns out.
Great.
So now that looks like a great looking plate, looks very appetizing. And you have some other recipes up here that you've already prepared too. So tell us a little bit about what else we have up here.
Well, we have sliced tomatoes with Parmesan. This one is a fig and tomato salad. And the one on far here is a Mediterranean pasta dish with tomatoes and olives and artichokes and that sort of thing. And these two jars here are roasted tomatoes, and that's a pasta sauce. All of these recipes are in the cookbook.
Okay. And you mentioned too that you even have a third cookbook coming out.
I do have a third cookbook coming out, and that is From Vine to Table, the food and wine pairings of the Willamette Valley. And that'll be out in 2022.
And I'm sure we'll be back to talk to you about that one too. Yeah. So if our viewers are interested in your books, where can they go to get them?
They can go on Amazon.com, they can go to my website to pick them up, and they can also go to, locally, they can go to Bauman Farms, they can go to Durant Vineyards, they can go to the Arbor, which is located in Salem. So we have them local and online.
Well, it's been a pleasure to be out here. The kitchen smells amazing. The recipes look delightful. We can't wait to dig in and try them all. So, for more information, make sure you go to gardentime.tv. We'll click you over to the website so you can go out and get your own cookbook yourself. So, Christina, it's been a pleasure being out here. Thank you for walking me through the recipes, and can't wait to taste them.
Oh, thank you, Ryan.
Thank you.
Garden Time is brought to you by Capital Subaru, your way on the Parkway.
Welcome to your all-new Capital Subaru. Let me show you around. Our showroom is bigger and brighter than ever before. Same great Subarus, same great people. It's an entirely new experience. You're going to love the new space. We've tripled our service department to get you in and out quickly. It's a game changer. We also have an amazing new dog park and some great unique spaces to check out. It's time to discover again.
The new Capital Subaru.
Your way on the Parkway.
Is your garden getting tired? Don't let your garden fizzle out because of the summer heat. Stop by Wavra Farms for a refresher in summer color. We carry a great selection of plants that love the summer. Give your garden the splash of color that it deserves. Your outdoor entertaining will be more enjoyable when you are surrounded by beautiful plants, wonderful flowers, and great fragrance. Let us show you what a summer garden should be. Wavra Farms, just east of Salem, off Highway 22 at the Joseph Street exit.
I'm out here at Moonfire and Son. We're in Bend. I'm with Carrie. And Carrie, we are in deer country, and you guys are very familiar with deer, so we thought it'd be great to come over and do a story about deer.
Well, I appreciate it. We certainly are. As you guys noticed when you came in, we don't have a perimeter set for deer, which is, in my opinion, the best thing you can do. So if you don't have a barrier, it's important to pick plants that, you know, may not be their favorite salad bar to munch on.
Right, because I'm assuming, you know, customers are coming in daily asking for plants that are deer resistant.
Absolutely, if not hourly.
Yeah.
Whether you're planting in the front yard or the backyard, most times they want to know that it's not going to be chewed up by deer, because we've seen deer hop a 6-foot fence before.
Right, and you said you have deer walking the nursery in here every day, basically.
They do. They are unwelcome, yet they still keep coming.
Right. So you have a great selection here of plants that you've picked out that are deer resistant. So let's run through some of these and say, you know, see what we have.
Yeah, so, you know, like I tell my customers, when you're set out to pick some deer-resistant plants, the best thing you can do is go for, first of all, a texture that they don't prefer. A good example of that is your stackies, the lamb's ear. Its softness, for some reason, is quite undesirable to them. Similarly would be your poppy that is, you know, thorny, hairy. If you think I wouldn't want to eat it, likely neither do they.
They're not going to like it either.
Anything with a thorn, like a barberry, as you see here, they tend to steer clear. That said, in the early spring, you might notice that young deer will eat the new growth off of a barberry and then keep moving.
They just kind of graze through, because a lot of times they're not going to just devour it down to the ground and kill it. They're
exactly. Yeah, you want to pay attention in your yard. You can notice signs of deer well before you've lost the plant entirely.
And then there's some other ones that you have in here that have some flowers or that might not be the texture. So what else do we look for?
Absolutely. So one perennial I like is Liatris. To me, it even seems like it would be deer food. However, it's been proven that they just move right past it. Your butterfly bush, great for bees, for birds, for butterflies. They move right on past it.
Interesting. And then is there is it a fragrance thing that they tend to not like, or is it?
Yeah, sometimes a strong fragrance like lavender or sage. It is strong enough that I think their noses that are on,
they're alert. They're sniffing a lot.
Yes, they've got good sniffers on them. So the stronger the scent, often the quicker they move past it.
Right, because you have a couple other nice perennials that are in here too.
Yep, absolutely. Veronica is one that I love. This is an upright version. It's got a great flower on it. You would think that it would be enticing. Thankfully, they move on past it.
And then it looks like you might have a salvia down there too.
Yep, salvia. In my observation, again, is that texture of the leaf. Even the flower itself, the petal is almost it feels like a fabric flower.
Right, and you have some of the fragrance in some of the salvias too.
Absolutely, yes.
And then you have a couple others up here. Looks like a mugo
Yep,
pine.
an evergreen. Everybody loves evergreens for borders, for a winter interest, especially in Central Oregon where we get a lot of snow. Thankfully, the deer aren't interested in a needle like this. Your spruces, junipers are a fantastic evergreen that they stick away from.
And then boxwood, it's another evergreen, but it's not the conifer leafy.
Absolutely. I think that's just pretty lucky, because if I'm looking at this, I would think that a deer would eat it.
Right?
Absolutely.
So once we have kind of, a selection of plants that we have and we've come in and we're planting them in our yard, you're talking about, plants are deer resistant, not deer proof, right?
Yeah, the notion of having something be deer proof is just null. There are things in my neighborhood that they don't eat. Here at the nursery, they mow it down. So I use a rule of ABCD, always a barrier to control deer.
Okay.
If you have a fence, that's obviously the best control. chances are they're not going to take over the fence to come into the yard.
Right. And it looks like you have a couple products here that you recommend for
Absolutely. For a garden bed, you know, maybe you just have some vegetables. A Deer X is really nice. Keeps them out. It's easy access for you to get into your vegetables to cultivate or to fertilize, whatever you need. It's removable. You can keep using it year after year.
Right. And so aside from the, the netting, what else do you have in?
I just always want to keep in mind of birds. You know, this netting is larger so that it keeps deer out, but if ever you're worried about a heavy presence of birds in your yard, it doesn't hurt to ever put something to distract them so that they stay out of the netting.
Okay.
Keep everybody safe and out of your vegetables.
And that looks like a flash tape?
It is, yeah. It is reflective and it just sends them in a different direction.
Oh, nice. And then you have a couple other products down there.
Yeah, so here at the nursery, we have overhead irrigation. We have to spray very often. It gets rinsed off, so in our nursery, it may not last as long as your yard. Additionally, we like to alternate. They do get used to a certain brand and they will decide that they'll go for it if you don't kind of change it up. These are great. There's nothing to them. You can spray them on vegetables, flowers. They don't burn. They're just essentially egg solids and some essential oils.
Okay. So once again, giving that taste that they don't like or a smell.
That smell. Yeah, I think it's definitely the smell, like you said.
And then you have one other product down there.
Yeah, granular, and it helps with other pests other than deer. It's long lasting. You can build a perimeter with it. We have a little too much space to conquer here to use it, but in a residential backyard, it's very effective.
So more information on where can people come in. Obviously they can come into the nursery here and get information from your knowledgeable staff. But
absolutely, we prefer that above all. We like to make a connection with our customers. We love when you just come in. We're happy to answer questions over the phone. It's a busy time of year, so as many people as we can get in to have a one-on-one with our incredible staff, the better.
Right, and you also have social media presence.
Absolutely. Right now we're active on Instagram and Facebook. Our website is currently under construction, but it'll be up and running before the end of summer, I'm sure of it.
Gotcha. So for more information on Moonfire and Son or here in Bend, or for more information on deer-resistant plants, make sure you come out to the nursery or follow them on Facebook and Instagram and get more information. So, Carrie, it's been a pleasure to be out here and learn all about how to keep either the deer out of our yard or what they shouldn't be eating in our yard.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching Garden Time today, and thanks to Blooming Junction for letting us hang out. They have lots of beautiful plants, but don't forget to go into the store and see all the beautiful produce. Fresh picked corn daily, watermelon, and lots of cucumbers.
And for more information on today's show or any of our other episodes, go to gardentime.tv. Judy and I thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week on Garden Time.
The proceeding was a paid program of the Guston Creative Group and its sponsors.